Okay, hello guys. We're back with another video, another episode, Superman and Lois season 4, episode 5, the mid-season finale. And I'd say this is the first episode to leave me speechless. Now, trust me, there's been some crazy stuff happening this season, right? But this one left me like I didn't know what to think or say. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But some episodes shocked me, but like this one, I ended as like, huh? How do I even react to what I just watched? But this was a hell of a mid-season finale. If you've been watching the videos, you know I've been wanting these flashbacks for Lex. I've wanted these Lex flashbacks. I wanted more of his story, even though we knew most of it. You know, I wanted to see him in the past, and I think they did a good job here. But yeah, I wanted Lex. I wanted Elizabeth. I wanted to see her in the present day, in the past, and we got that, and I'm very, very happy for that. Just when the episode started and I realized we were doing flashbacks, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really good episode. We're gonna have flashbacks with Lex already. I don't care how bad the rest of it is. And let's be honest here, Superman and Lois is never bad. But as good as this episode was, the future is even more exciting, but let's get into it. So we begin 17 years earlier with Lex and his wife. They are obviously getting a divorce. She tells him that he never gives her the attention that she needs in this marriage. And I thought for like a one-off guest star who's just in flashbacks, she actually did a good job. The actress for his wife was in just a couple scenes in the flashbacks, but in this scene here, she had great emotion, and basically she wants a divorce, and she said to talk to her lawyers if he wants to talk to her ever again. So there's that, but we will get more into that later in the flashbacks, later down the road in this video. But John and Jordan are with their friends at the car. They're opening the car, getting a bunch of fireworks for a fireworks show. It was pretty funny, but the main takeaway from this scene is that Denise says she knows that Superman is Clark Kent, their dad. We don't get much explanation the whole episode, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but she does say she was there the night that he died. And I'm guessing she saw them like crying over him and assumed that somehow. I don't know, but now Denise and Chuck knows, and then we'll get into who else knows by the end of this video. But yeah, that's the thing. And it's funny, John and Jordan's reaction is just not saying anything and just blankly staring, kind of, or like shockingly staring, but they kind of give it away. But anyways, she also says, don't go all doomsday on us. Like, okay, we're just saying doomsday, but they're waiting for Candace. I think this is the first mention of Candace all season, I think. But then we see the Kent house with Lois and Clark. Clark's worried about staying at the Kent house now that Lex probably knows that Superman is alive, which we know he does. Clark's worried, and Lois comes up with a second Hail Mary, which is looking through Gramps' stuff, and Clark wants to appeal to Lex's good nature or heart. Clark does just that. He stops right in front of Lex's car. We hit the commercial break. We come back. We talk. Clark basically says, doing what you're doing to my family is harassment. It's not going to bring your years back. Can we just call a truce? Call it even. And he's like, no, you need consequences, and then drives off. That's pretty much it, and pretty much what I expected, I guess. I hoped that Lex would maybe turn reasonable, but he did not. Then we see Lois go to France, believed to be France. They said merci, which is French. Pretty sure. Yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. But anyways, They go to France because when Lois was digging through Gramps' files and stuff, that she found out that Elizabeth is where Elizabeth is staying in France, and goes to meet with her. She tells Elizabeth that Lex is coming after her family and she needs her help. She is her Hail Mary and she needs her. Elizabeth agrees to talk. She gets all the way back to the Smallville Gazette, and I have to wonder, something that they did not explain is that Elizabeth knows Clark Kent. We see Clark Kent as Lois's husband later. Does not know him as Superman, but they were all the way in France because Jonathan flew Lois to France. Like, that's the reason they were there. So did they get back home with Jonathan like, hey, Elizabeth, I'm going to take you and Lois and fly us back to Smallville? And Elizabeth just knows? Or is there just like a plane flight that took like many hours? Like, I don't know. They didn't really explain that. But I mean, the only way they could have possibly gotten back to Smallville that fast is if they flew. Maybe they knocked her out. I don't know. I don't think they would do that. But there might be a plot hole, or Elizabeth is keeping the secret. But it's crazy to me they tell Elizabeth. I don't know what they're thinking. But anyways, then we see Clark go to the fortress with Lara, his mother, to see if there's any way to defeat Doomsday, if she knows anything. They go through his memories, and he can't handle it. He can't handle watching his death over again, him getting beaten in the subway, and I kind of couldn't watch it. Actually, it was a little, I felt a little stressed watching the memories, I guess. But understandably, he can't watch the one thing that killed him, took him away from his family. But yeah, he says, look, there's nothing we can do. She doesn't say anything, and that's pretty much that. But then we see Elizabeth go to Vicky May's diner to meet up with Lex. I mean, they talk about a lot. I'll break it down a little bit, but the conversation really starts with, I guess, catching up. The fact that she's pregnant, she has a husband, that 17 years felt so long and like an instant at the exact same time. Yes, sorry guys, that was a Discord notification, by the way. I'm sorry. Then they get into talking about it being Lois's fault, or Lex says it's Lois's fault that he was locked away. She says it's his own fault. She says he's not taking responsibility and she can't do this anymore. She walks up, tries to leave, and we just see Clark eavesdropping the entire time through the window of the Gazette. And he leaves the Gazette. He goes to talk to her, tells her she should at least give it one more shot so she doesn't live with any regrets for the rest of her life. And she does just that. But until we see that, we see Lois go through the Gazette boxes to find Gramps' ELT that had been reprogrammed to call Doomsday. Okay, now we are going to be getting into that flashbacks section of the video. So really, these flashbacks, in a summary, I guess they have different themes, but really on the foreground here, it is Lex and his wife getting a divorce and debating on who will get Elizabeth. And the wife wants to move back to London and take Elizabeth with her. Lex wants to stay in Metropolis with her, and he later says in a conversation in the closet that the reason he's fighting so hard for her is because she is his life. She is the reason that he goes on in life, pretty much. That she is different than him. I felt like that was really poignant. Is that the word for it? I think so. That he didn't really think about having kids, but once he realized his daughter wasn't as messed up or didn't have to experience as much pain as him, he saw a new opportunity, and he genuinely loves her for that, for being different than him, and kind of sees hope in his daughter. And we know a big theme of the show is hope. But the flashbacks are really debating on who keeps her. In the end, Elizabeth says she really wants to stay in Metropolis and chooses him. He ends up getting arrested soon after, and she is stripped away from him, sent back to London. And in this episode, while he's talking with Elizabeth again in the current, he talks about his childhood, about his father leaving when he was 7, and his mother not really taking that very well, having that anger. And the one thing that his father left behind was a belt that she uses to beat him. And I mean, in a way it is basic for a villain backstory, right? Abusive parents, abandonment, kind of a thing. But this in a way felt different and just felt less contrived than some other backstories I've heard or seen. Then we see Jonathan and Jordan's storyline. Pretty much this episode is a party with Candace and the extras, the friends, like Denise, and Candace kind of being like, hey Jonathan, you're obviously lying to me about why you keep disappearing today, why you're flying to France. I don't want to talk to you. And I don't love Candace. I think not many people love Candace, but what ends up happening is something I'll talk about later. But after we see them in their partying, Elizabeth talks with Lex again. Like I said, they talk about the fact that he's going to be a grandfather, and they really get deep and emotional and try and connect and make it up to each other. And I loved Michael Cudlitz here. This whole episode, he was amazing. If you don't know who that is, by the way, that's the actor who plays Lex. And just the fact that he can be so villainous and then just turn on this emotional side of him that you can tell with just his little mannerisms and face that he has changed his entire aura around her, that he actually loves her without saying a word. And it's just amazing. I loved him here. But they sadly ruined the conversation by bringing up Lois. And basically Elizabeth saying, you can't be trying to ruin Lois's family and be a part of me and my son's life at the same time. So you have to pick one. And basically he doesn't really pick, but he says, I can't let them get away with this. I can't let Lois and her family get away with what they did to me. And she says, I never want you near me again. And she leaves. And she never wants him in his life. He leaves the diner and stares at Clark, because Clark was listening, leaves the Gazette, and they stare at each other. And it's like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty like intense. And this was the moment I was like, oh shoot, Lex was already bad. And now the one thing he was going after, his daughter, has turned him down. I was worried about two things here. I was worried he was going to like flip out and like be like, okay, you're never going to see me again. I'm going to kill you. Okay, I felt like that was more unlikely. Like that was a little dark, but more like a likely, which we'll probably see happen. I was like, he's got nothing to lose now. He's going to go all out on the Kents. And I think that's what we're going to see. Then we see Lois under the bridge, which we examined in the teaser, which was great. Lois calls Doomsday with the ELT, and I was like so hyped for this moment. He comes crashing down. Jonathan got there, and that was actually what I was so stressed about. I was like, Jonathan, get the hell out of here. Lois knows what she's doing. You're just gonna ruin it. You're gonna piss Doomsday off. But Lois appeals to him, which is exactly how I thought we would defeat Doomsday. We wouldn't necessarily defeat him, but I thought this take on Doomsday is a really, really damaged Bizarro Clark who's just been through so much pain and trauma. He had to die over and over again. He had a family he loved. He fought for them. He went through addiction to kryptonite, and then came back at the other end, realizing he made a mistake, and he wanted to sacrifice himself for his family. He loved them, and now it's just Doomsday. And I thought there's gotta be Bizarro under all that scariness. But I also thought the flashbacks that we saw from Doomsday were kind of funny, because a lot of them were just Superman and Lois flashbacks that we've seen, but it just flipped the screen, like just flipped it, mirrored it, and made it red in the background. Like, they didn't have those flashbacks in the Bizarro storyline, but I thought it was a little funny, but it made sense, so I was fine with it. We then see the party again with Candace and the boys, and when Jonathan gets back from helping Lois, Candace says, Jordan told me everything, and I was like, oh, this is a mislead. She obviously wasn't told everything. Then she says, I know the truth about who your father is and you guys. And I was like, wait, what the hell? Is she talking about something else? This has got to be still mislead. And then they never answered it. So I think that she knows the secret, which is insane. We should not trust Candace with it. No way, Jose. I mean, we can kind of trust her, but I don't like her. But anyways, the episode ends with Lex getting back to his subway lair where Doomsday has been hiding out, and Doomsday is gone. He does not follow orders from Lex anymore. Lois has convinced Doomsday to not come after her and her family anymore. And I think this fits for the show, because the themes and values of family and memories are a perfect way to essentially defeat, or at least temporarily stop Doomsday in this show. I think that makes sense. And then there's the quote Lois says at the end, that they were trying to appeal to the wrong heart, and they end up appealing to the monster more than the human, and I think that's poetic. But thank you guys so much for watching. We're halfway through the season. We got 5 more to go, but I will be breaking down the teaser for episode 6 tomorrow with another video upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.